Ugh. Can't believe Mikan has that bloody Yu-Gi-Oh fig out there. What's worse, he wants to drag it on and on for close to 100 chapters. How can you distract yourself for that long? Why would anybody pay attention to a fic that's 100 chapters like that when it's just a fun little Yu-Gi-Oh story? But here's what's more. We all know it's just gonna be more and more Titans and pony bashing.
Well, there's always a solution.
How's that?
Well, we can always show the audience what a real pony fic is like.
True. And it's been a while since we last dueled. So without further ado, here's Duelist of the Friendship Cup by Drakey C. Enjoy. Duelist of the Friendship Cup by Drakey C. Chapter 1. A rival appears. Harmony Guard, Caparcio, attack! The red-headed warrior woman hefted her sword and leapt into the air, light gleaming off of shining gold armor. So he descended into a two-handed cleave, slicing apart the defending monster in cybernetic hockey armor. The monster exploded in a blast of wind. Sunset looked down at her duel disc as Rainbow Dazz's life counter ticked down to 0. Dink! A portrait lighting up red along with the numerals. That's game! Rainbow lowered her arm and shook her head.
I'm gonna beat you one of these days.
I only had 600 life points left. That was pretty close. Monty do duel for the sands at the side of the backfield. Applejack snored. Sure. Close for a normal duelist. It's a bit different for you magic voodoo powers. Sunset frowned. I told you, I don't do that anymore. I don't even know if I can. She went down on her hand, flexing her fingers. I haven't had any of my powers flare up since. She shook her head to dismiss the memory of the blinding white light engulfing her.
Who's your next? Pinky jumped in place. I want to try out my new deck.
I'll pass this one. Sunset walked to the stands to join the others, unstrapping her dual disc and setting it beside her.
I'll give it a go, Pinky.
Randy stood up and adjusted her dual disc placement on her arm. Pinky squealed and ran out to the grass while Rainbow came to sit down as well. That looks so rares, Applejack said, holding out her hand. Rainbow reached and slapped it.
You're on. Fluttershy, Sunset, you on in?
Fluttershy shook her head. No thanks, Sunset said. On the grass in front of them, Verity and Pinky stood opposite each other, raised their arms, their dual discs lining up. Applejack held up her own dual disc and entered spectator mode, Fluttershy and Rainbow leaning in. Behind the trio, Sunset took a breath and looked over the field. They weren't the only students playing. Sunset saw 3 other duels going on, small bunches of students watching. Other groups were seated around the tables under the trees at the far end of the field, cards spread out in front of them for trades and playing. Sunset closed her eyes and smiled. It's amazing how much has changed in so short a time. It had only been 3 months since Twilight won the Autumn Crown tournament, and the student body of CHS had begun to move on its own from its bare competitive atmosphere. There was talk that the upcoming Spring Crown tournament would do away with the wearer privileges, and just have the wearer be a bragging rights position. Others were petitioning for some sort of material award of cards, or a gift certificate to a local card shop. Just as long as it's not a gift card to Olive Garden, we're fine. But, have you ever tried your endless pasta bowl? It never ends.
I guess it makes sense. I've kind of set the precedent twice now. She had been the one to manipulate Celestia to giving the winner of the tournaments, since herself, special privileges. Since her loss to Twilight and Twilight returning to Equestria, school had been in the opposition of being without a reigning champion. Celestia had first approached Flash Century, then Sunset and Rainbow about assuming the position, but all 3 had declined. Twilight's departure had solved that drive and the need to be the best that hung over the school for years. I owe a lot to her. Sunset opened her eyes, not paying attention to the duel in progress. She saved the school from me. She saved me from myself. Thinking back now, it was like watching someone else's life. A life of so much hate and pride and jealousy. Someone who needed to assert her superiority over others, no matter how she made it happen. Sunset bit her lip and lowered her head. It's not me anymore. I have the deck to prove it. She smiled and reached down to her duel disc. Her hand hit the slot where the deck was inserted, and her fingers felt cold plastic. Sunset snapped her head down and saw her duel disc empty. She looked around the area and caught movement under the bell bleachers. Lowering her head down to between the seats, Sunset saw a figure in a blue-headed sweatshirt kneeling with her back to her, hands moving up to flip through a stack of cards. Hey! Sunset stood and ran to the end of the bleachers and jumped to the ground. Her voice, fingers had snapped up as they ran. Sunset's cards falling to the grass. Sunset reached them and stopped, nosing the figure's hands empty as he pumped her arms and jogged across the street. The bus stopped nearby, and when it pulled away, the figure was gone. Sunslate? Abstract's voice drew Sunset to look behind her and see her friends looking at her. I think I just caught someone trying to steal my deck, Sunset muttered. Verity gasped. Oh, the nerve! Who would do such a thing? I don't know, they escaped. Sunset pointed at the bus pulling down the street. Rainbow squared her hands and put her hand over her eyes down the street and back of the bus. The 8th? She lowered her hand and rolled her eyes. What a shock! Sunset finished gathering her cards. There seemed to be nothing listening. At least. She stood up. What's a shock? The 8 bus connects to the north end, Rainbow explained. There's only one reason someone from the west side of town would be here snooping out the duel fields. The 5 spoke again said, Crystal Prep! Crystal Prep? Caroline's rival school, Appleton explained. A bunch of upper-class snobs with more talent than money. With more money than talent. Rainbow nodded. When the friendship comes this weekend, they totally sneak down here and spy on us to get a look at our decks. Right. Sunset looked back at the bus as it turned a corner. But do you really think they suit the spying? Rainbow nodded. They totally would. You know what they're like. Actually, I don't. Sunset held up her hands. Rainbow recoiled. Say what? She's never competed in a cup, Verity reminded. Though, I always did wonder why, darling. Sunset winced and rubbed the back of her neck. Well, I always saw posters and heard duelists talking about it, but I didn't see the point in taking part. You know, at that point I was trying to take over the school and make everyone bitter and competitive. School split rivalries weren't really helpful for that. She grimaced and put a hand to her face. I'm sorry, I know how that sounds. Fluttershy stepped up and pulled Sunset's hand away. It's okay, Sunset. You don't duel for that now. The problem is, Applejack cut in, Crystal Peps always look down their nose at us and rub our faces and how much better they are than us, long before even you came to the line. Spying is the least of our problems. This rivalry is a fair principle, Verity said. CHS is a standard secondary school, while Crystal Prep is specifically for duelists aiming to turn a career out of the game with a course of studying the game inside and out. Fluttershy nodded. They say more than 4 and 5 graduates go on to be a professional duelist, or something related to like a judge or a card designer. If it's that unfair, why get so up to work for it? Because they're jerks about it, Rainbow snapped. It makes CHS a laughingstock. I've been allowed out of tournaments because everyone knows CHS duelists are just wannabes. She raised her nose in the air, faking an upper-class accent. If we were serious about the game, why don't we attend a preparatory school? If you want to be the best, you have to make a commitment, not treat this like some silly hobby. Right, Sunset shrugged. But that's hardly our fault, right? I mean, if they're so rich, then they can afford all the rare cards they need to make the best decks. What just the normal kids have. Not only that, but they also use the expert rule system. Randy tapped her duel disc a few times and showed Sunset the header labeled rules. CHS uses the casual rules. That means using only extra decks, one feels better to play, and some minor details. Crystal Prep uses a professional rule set, expert. You know all those synchro what? And XYZ monsters that no one at this school really uses? Applejack shook her head. There's all the rage at Crystal Prep. Pinky nodded. No one here likes the expert rules since the casual rules are more fun. So when it comes time to duel with the experts, Most of our students don't really know what they're doing. Not to mention none of them had actually decks that usually grow in XYZ monsters. They'll turn out mass against the more advanced decks. Well, why not change that? Sunset asked. You said the Friendship Cup's this weekend. It's only Tuesday, so we have 4 days to learn how to play at Crystal Press level. Seriously? Emo snoring. You really think we could master a whole new rule set and summon mechanics in just 4 days? Sunset raised an eyebrow. Twilight mastered the game from scratch in 3 days. She had magic, and we have each other.
Sunset, cheesy, I love it.
Sunset looked at around the group. Do you want to give it a shot or daycare? Fluttershy smiled. Well, I do have a couple of XYZ cards that could work in my deck. I'll switch it to a fusion deck. Might as well learn new rules while I'm at it. Reggie sighed. Oh, very well. All we got to lose, but I feel awesome on time. Aren't you? Pinky grinned. Rainbow nodded. What the heck? Let's do it. She stuck her hand out. One by one, the other piled theirs on. Crystal Prep, this year you're going down. The bus stopped and the hooded figure stepped off. Throwing her hood back to reveal a mass of pink-streaked purple hair tied in a bun. She walked down the street and turned to a walkway in a small 2-story home. Mom, I'm home! She slammed the door behind her. I'll be in my room! She didn't wait for an answer before toeing off her shoes and jogging up the stairs. She reached the door to her room. A child's glitter-going art project reading Twilight hanging under. Twilight sat down on the computer and turned it on. While it booted up, she reached over a table by her desk and pulled a camera drone over to her. She grabbed her remote and loaded up the latest video entry it had recorded. D from last week. Began to play. Displaying a duel back on the field of CHS. I knew it! Twilight paused the video, sat back, rubbing her chin. The same girl, the same monsters. She let out her computer and let out a 3-tone chime to signal it before it finished booting. Twilight turned and opened up her browser, typing and clicking rapidly as the home page loaded. I have to let the principal know my suspicions. But best to double check one last time now I got a closer look.
Twilight?
Twilight didn't stop working as her door nudged open. An older boy with blue hair peeking in.
Mom wants to know if you want gravy with supper.
Not now, Shiny! Busy! Twilight muttered, her eyes fixed on the computer. Those symbols were definitely something new. What was that card type? Pendulum?
Before she continued her train of thought, she found a large, burly white arm wrapped around her head. Too busy to chat with your BBBFF? Shining Armor laughed.
Let go! Twilight pushed his arm away and adjusted her seat before going back to work.
Shining looked at her computer screen, recognizing the programs he was using as a card database. Is this about that CHS duelist again?
Yes.
He sat down and he answered Twilight's bed. I knew you were obsessive, but this is a bit much, even for you.
Twilight huffed and turned her head. It's not obsessive. I told you. I searched my entire database of cards, and I have no idea what decks he's playing. I've emailed judges, designers, spoken to pro duelists. None of them have any idea what this Harmony Guardian archetype is, much less these pendulum monsters.
Shining shrugged. Maybe you just misheard the name.
No.
Twilight shook her head and went back to work.
I looked down there and snuck a peek at her deck when she was distracted. Her card layout is unlike anything I've ever seen. 2 boxes for effect text and red and blue symbols on the side. I also can't figure out how she placed them.
She raised her hand to the side.
I used a drone to record a few duels of hers, but the plays don't make sense. She seems to play her monster cards as spell cards sometimes, and when her monsters are destroyed, they don't seem to register as being in the graveyard.
Shining frowned. Twilight, if you get caught talking about this stuff, I could get in serious trouble. I don't need people whispering that the school champ has his little sister spying on Caroline High up.
You'll appreciate it when I prove they're cheating, Twilight replied. Using cards no one has heard of before, and that seem to have different mechanics that aren't fully understood, they're up to something. It's possible they have an insider who's getting them cards and not on the open market yet. Or more likely, they're using fake cards. Either way, I can't ignore it.
I think you're jumping to conclusions, Sunny said. But if you're right, fair point on investigating it. Have you let the principal know about this?
If there is a chance that CHS might pull something underhanded this weekend, we can't keep it to ourselves.
That was my next step. I was just double checking my database to make sure there was no chance I overlooked something I didn't.
Browser windows he had open.
I set up this website bot to track the most popular Duel Monsters news sites and keep a running update of all known cards in circulation, even if the ones no one could possibly have, like tournament exclusives. If these pendulum cards aren't in my database, they don't exist.
She went to her email and began to type up her message. Well, let me know what you find. Shiny stood up. Come down when you're done. Mom wants to talk to you about supper.
Sure.
Twilight heard her door click and close. She kept typing. When she was finished, she read over her message to the principal.
I recognize directly emailing you is highly unorthodox, but I feel this matter is of the utmost importance and must be brought to your attention. For the last few months, I've become aware of strange cards being used at Duelist Caroline High, seemingly by their former champion, Sunset Shimmer. What concerns me is that these cards, identified as pendulum monsters, do not seem to exist in any known card database. In all contracts in the professional world, I've reached out and reaffirmed that judgment. I believe CHS may be trying to use illegal cards at this weekend's free Transit Cup. Want to inform you of this, so that suitable actions may be taken to assure the integrity of the tournament.
Twilight thought for a moment, then typed one more sentence.
I attached some evidence of my suspicions to this email for you to look at.
She clicked the paperclip icon and browsed to one of the video recordings she had taken of her drone in Sunset Dueling and adjusted. Satisfied with her email, Twilight hit send. She picked up the viewer for her drone and let the video play. Watching the red-headed duelist summon her unknown monsters 3 at a time, slapped in the face to all Twilight knew about the game.
I don't know what you're up to, Sunset Shimmer, but I'm onto you, and you won't get away with it. I don't know, Twilight. If you give me a few minutes and a good deck and my red ice metal dragon, I could probably summon 3 blue eyes in one go.
Sitting on a bed in her apartment, her legs crossed under her, Sunset Fizz laying on her deck and looked over it.
This deck has been doing fine so far. I'm not sure if I could keep it up with a pro-level duelist like Crystal Prep might have. But what other options do I have?
Sunset never spent much time collecting cards, so he never had the money to spare. Besides, her power to shift the contents of her deck as needed and continued insert her continual dominance.
Sure wish I had that power again.
She flexed her hand and frowned. As unfair as it was using magic like it would come in handy now. Her win-loss record since the Autumn Crown tournament was a perfectly respectable 24-7, but a 31-0 record would have been even better. Sunset's phone buzzed as she reached out to her nightstand to pick it up. Rainbow had texted her.
Tomorrow's the school photo. Which duelist you want in the Friendship Cup? Rumor says 5 of us will be a shoo-in since everyone loves us after the last tournament.
Sunset smiled, typed over her response.
How many duels complete? It's 7-on-7. There's us 5, and Flash is usually in. Maybe you.
Sunset paused.
Maybe? Why only maybe? Normally the champions of the autumn and spring tournaments are in. Then the school falls on the other 5. That's been you the last couple of years, but you've always declined entry. This year, hard to say.
Sunset nodded. Was I taking an interest in these things before?
I'll talk to Celestia tomorrow. Maybe she'll let me give him my win streak. Probably.
Sunset set her phone beside her and took a deep breath.
I could do this. For them. If they want to win, I could give them one.
She tried to lay low after the Autumn Crown, to hang out with her new friends, to try not to get on anyone's nerves. Whatever purifying magic Twilight had used on her seemed to have worked on the rest of the school too. Or maybe that was Sunset's imagination. Either way, Mona seemed nicer, and no one was really looking to cause trouble for her. At the same time, she noticed people whispering when she dueled. The applause when she won was usually polite, not genuine.
I may not be that kind of duelist anymore. I still got a long way to go to be accepted here. Winning against Crystal Prep will help, assuming I can pull my weight. I taught a good pep talk before, but I really had no idea what I'm getting into.
She shook her head.
Can't worry about that. I know I'm still good. I know I can do this. Just to make sure I'm allowed in. And Celestia can handle that tomorrow. Mulling it over tonight. She got out of her car and sat up on the nightstand, tapped out a goodnight text to Rainbow, and plugged her phone into the charger. Twilight! Sunny Armor's voice called up the stairs and echoed to her room. Come on, I'm ready! Twilight started typing and saved the deck list she was working on. She grabbed her duel disc, a streamlined purple and pink rectangle, slightly wider than her arm, with the deck slide to the end and strapped it on. She sat down at her computer and jogged down the stairs. She looked at the time displayed on her phone and smiled. 8:29. I'm ready on time. Barely. Sunny ruffled her hair, pulled up. The two siblings walked to the car, parked in the driveway, climbed in, Shining driving. Twilight looked down at her phone and began to open her browser. When the device buzzed, a numeral appeared over the email icon. She tapped it and opened her new email. She read it and gasped. What? The principal wants to talk to me before class. With 10 minutes left until classes began, the students were beginning to empty out the calls of Crystal Prep. As Twilight headed to the main office, she saw several students with duel discs looking at statistics. With the Friendship Cup this weekend, duel standings to get into the top 7 rankings and compete were going to be locked on Friday night. Anyone close to entering to the top 7 was itching to record up. Twilight reached the office door and pushed it in. The main secretary raised her head and smiled. Good morning, Twilight. Good morning, Miss Amore. Twilight waved. The principal wanted to see me? Yes, go ahead. Miss Amore nodded towards the room on the left end. Twilight walked past the counter and paused in front of the door to compose herself. You know why you've been called. You know you're right. Just explain what you know, and don't start to babble. She raised a hand and knocked. Come in. Twilight turned the handle and stepped inside, giving what she hoped was a friendly smile. You wanted to speak to me? Principal Sombra?